I pity everyone who got the AirPods now. Imagine a hipster sitting in a cafe with the MacBook, an iPhone, and the AirPods in his ears, and somebody goes up to him and asks him, "Hey, are these the new Realme Buds Air?" Well, I wouldn't want to be that person, and let's address the elephant in the room. The Realme Buds Air looks a lot like the Apple AirPods. From the case to the pods to the curves, the design is near identical and you can't easily tell the two apart. I mean, just look at the two. Well, if you can look past the design though, there are a lot of features that the Realme Buds Air offers for its price. Well, I'm Ershad from Mr. Phone, and in this video, we're going to take a detailed look and do a full review of the newly launched Realme Buds Air. But before we move on, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever Mr. Phone puts out an awesome new tech video. Alright, before I start talking about the Realme Buds Air, let's take a quick look at the unboxing. I want to start off by comparing the design of the Realme Buds Air a little bit more to the AirPods. Now, the case of the Realme Buds Air is very similar to the AirPods, but it is rounder compared to the flatter AirPods case. And the AirPods case has an LED in the front, which is an indicator light, compared to the Buds Air, which has a breathing LED. Obviously, the breathing LED looks way better. That said, of course, AirPods does a few things better. Firstly, the most important thing to note is that the case on the AirPods has a metal sort of insert which helps in opening the case with a single finger easily. In comparison, there is no metal insert on the Realme Buds Air's case, which means that the process is not as smooth. I can still open it with a single finger, but the process is definitely not as smooth. Moreover, the AirPods themselves compared to the pods of the Buds Air have a more streamlined design. Plus, in addition to that, there is proper spacing inside within the case where you put these AirPods in, and therefore it's easier to pull them out of the case compared to the Realme Buds Air. Also, it doesn't help that the entire Buds Air is actually glossy, which is also the case with the AirPods. But if you do have sweaty hands or grime, it's not going to be easy to pull out again. Talking about sweat though, the Realme Buds Air are actually certified to be IP52 rated, which means that it can take a little bit of sweat and a little bit of water droplets as well, which means that you can use them for exercise and not worry about them conking out. As for the build of the case and the Buds Air, they're made entirely of plastic, but they feel tough enough to actually withstand some rough usage. Now, you guys are already aware that the Realme Buds Air will be available in 3 color variants. There's the white one out here, and then there's that yellow and black variants as well. I would sincerely urge you to pick up the yellow or the black color. Why I say this is because at least you'll be able to distinguish yourself from the AirPods wearing crowd, and secondly, the grime from your ears will be hidden well in the black or the yellow one, and it will be really visible on the white one. Fun fact, most TWS manufacturers make the body glossy so that it's easier to clean the earwax. Moving on, let's talk about the fit, and the AirPods wins it hands down. That's not necessarily a good thing because the AirPods have a bad fit to begin with. Now, the Realme Buds Air have a higher propensity of falling out of your ears compared to the AirPods. In fact, similar to the AirPods, the right one is the one that falls out easily, which is just completely weird. I don't understand why that happens. Now, one good thing about the fit and the design of the Buds Air is the fact that it's only 4 grams, around 4 grams in weight, and therefore when you're wearing it, it's very comfortable for long listening sessions. In fact, I wore it for 3 hours at a stretch. And I didn't face any problems whatsoever. Now, the Buds Air comes with touch controls. Let me lay them out for you. Double tap to play pause the music or accept/end calls. Triple tap to change the music. long press to actually invoke a voice assistant of your choice, which is basically Google Assistant or Siri, and long press both the earbuds at once to get into the gaming mode, which actually has an indicator in the form of a racing car sound. Now if you want to exit that mode, again you have to long press and then you hear a piano sound. Now these touch controls worked really well during my testing, and I faced rarely any issues when I was double tapping to pause the music or hitting long press for Google Assistant either. I honestly think that at least with the touch controls, Realme has got the basics right. What I did face a problem with is the automatic play pause feature that is enabled on the Realme Buds Air. Essentially, this feature is similar to the AirPods, where when you're playing music and you want to pause it, all you need to do is take one of the earpods out of the ear and it'll play or pause music. Now it worked fairly well about 95% of the time with literally no dropouts, so that's good. Having said that, there's almost always a slight delay for it to stop music. It actually uses a distance sensor apart from the optical sensor to judge that it is out of your ears. So when you take it out, it actually plays the music for a little more and then stops. So there is that delay. On the AirPods, it almost happens instantaneously. There's literally no delay. So that I think is a bit of an issue, but I think that'll get better with the next edition for sure. As for connectivity, the Realme Buds Air actually uses the Bluetooth 5.0 codec, but it cannot connect to two devices at once, which is a bit of a letdown. If you want to pair to another device, you have to hold the button on the case to actually put it in pairing mode to connect to another device. Now, the Realme Buds Air are supposed to come with Google Fast Pair connection, which will basically drop down a card the moment you open the lid on your phone, and put it in pairing mode as well. Now that is not available right now. It's coming in January pretty soon. Now, as far as the Bluetooth connection itself is concerned, it was rock solid. Not once did I have a dropout, which is excellent. And apart from that, it has a standard 10-meter range, which also it maintained for most part of my review. This once again is Realme getting the basics absolutely right. Now the improved connection stability and the wear detection features, plus the low latency mode, which I will talk about later, is all possible because Realme has this proprietary R1 chip on top of Bluetooth 5.0. Yeah, so H1, yeah, you're right. Realme is taking inspiration from Apple everywhere, but it works, so that's good. I'll give them that. Finally, let's talk about the sound quality. For testing, I actually used a Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, the iPhone 11 Pro, and the MacBook Pro as well. Now, I didn't use a Realme device because there's nothing special that Realme does for Realme devices. It works similarly across all Android devices. Now, as for the codecs, you get SBC and AAC support. So if you are expecting aptics, that's not available here. Now, when I was testing using the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, even that one defaulted to AAC codec, which is actually a better codec than SBC. What I find surprising is that Realme fit a pair of 12mm dynamic bass boost drivers inside each earpods. These drivers can get really loud, and considering the whole bass boost moniker, these are bass heavy to a certain extent. But the mid bass attack is not as fast, and there is a bit of decay in a song like Acid Rain by Lawn. But you get a lot of volume and weight in the low end for a pair of earbuds, that I must say. And the sub bass performance in a song like J. Paul's BTSTU was pretty good, no doubt about that. The best part about the bass is that it doesn't bleed into the other frequencies. That is something that I'm glad that Realme's engineers have managed to do. However, I would have liked a little bit more attack and not the bloated feeling to the bass. When it comes to the treble, it's rolled off at the higher end of the frequency chart. And also there were some uncomfortable spikes which I noticed, which made it unbearable in a song like Creep by Radiohead. Having said that, there was a fair bit of detail and texture in the treble response, which was fairly evident from my testing of Steely Dan's Do It Again. In the first minute, there are a lot of treble heavy instruments that keep playing like cymbals. So that detail and texture was there, but the roll off is a bit annoying. Now for testing the stereo separation, I listened to a song called Flirting with June by Les Gordon. There is this vocal harmony that moves from the left to the right, and on a pair of resolving headphones, I can hear that very very well and it's absolutely gorgeous to listen to, which creates like a nice big soundscape. That actually doesn't happen well on the Realme Buds Air. I couldn't hear that movement very clearly. Now there's another problem that I had to contend with, and that is the fact that despite that, these earphones don't get really muddy and they're fairly clear and there's a lot of clarity, the dynamics were not that great. Now what I mean by the dynamic range was not that great is that across the frequency spectrum, when there are sounds playing across that, it feels like they're all in the same plane. There is no dynamism to it, and that is evident in a song called These Days by Foo Fighters. That's the song that I test to check out the dynamism. So what I noticed overall in my testing is that the sound signature is most definitely U-shaped. The low end and the high frequency takes precedence with the mids getting recessed. This is the kind of sound that a lot of the masses are going to love and appreciate, but these are definitely not audiophile grade. I'm just glad that it has a clean, clear sound signature with a decent bit of imaging. The instrument separation was pretty good, so that is something that I'm happy about. But these are not meant for audiophiles. These are meant for people who want their sound to be more fun. So if you listen to a lot of pop or Bollywood or hip hop or EDM, you will be content with the sound signature that is available on the Realme Buds Air. That's it. By virtue of its design, the noise isolation is not that good, and at high volume it also leaks a little bit. Now when I was walking on the road with these in my ears, definitely I could hear the traffic's din and the experience was not that great overall. One of the very good additions to the Realme Buds Air is the low latency mode for gaming. Once you switch on the gaming mode, it directly drops from 243.8 milliseconds to actually 119.3 milliseconds, which is actually very good. Having said that, this is not the best in the industry. In fact, Razer's Hammerhead Truly Wireless actually can achieve close to 60 milliseconds, which is great. And if you have aptX low latency, which is I don't think available on a Truly Wireless yet, maybe it is, but I'm not so sure. But it is available in a lot of other Bluetooth headphones, of course, including the Sennheiser Momentum 3 Wireless that I reviewed recently. The latency goes down to as low as sometimes even 35 milliseconds, which is excellent. So, if there was aptX low latency on the Realme Buds Air, it would have been better. Now, does switching on to the gaming mode affect the battery life is a question a lot of people have. Well, it actually doesn't. In my testing, the battery lasted 3 hours, close to around 3 hours, 2 minutes, with gaming mode on entirely for that duration. Without gaming mode and in normal mode, it lasted me 3 hours, 10 minutes, which is actually higher than the number quoted by Realme, which is around 3 hours. Although that battery life is not that great, because most truly wireless earphones can at least give you 5 hours of battery life. So 3 hours feels like one movie and it's done. On the case itself, you get 17 hours of charge, so that's good. So it should last you a day's full of usage. Of course, you're going to spread that out across 2-3 days of listening for sure. Now, one of the trump cards that Realme has played out here is that the Realme Buds Air comes with a wireless charging case. So there's wireless charging support, which is ironical considering its phones don't have it. One of the things that I completely forgot to talk about is the fact that you guys might have that question. So if gaming mode battery life is not that much of a difference, why not be in gaming mode at all time and reduce the low latency at all time? Well, there is a problem. The Bluetooth range sort of decreases. It goes from 10 meters to something lower, but that doesn't matter when you're gaming because the phone is going to be closer to your ears anyway. Now, one of the reasons why I really like these stem style earphones is that call quality improves by a big margin. Now, here's the thing, don't get confused by that environmental noise cancelling that is there in the box. That's not got to do with noise cancelling when you're listening to music. That noise cancelling kicks in with the 2 mics that are available on each earbuds for calls specifically. What it does is that it cuts out the environmental noise and makes call quality better. Honestly, the caller that I called and myself, we both had an excellent conversation with literally no dropouts and great call quality, sound quality as well. So I think that for calls, the Realme Buds Air is actually as good as the AirPods, and that is high praise. Alright, so we're at the end of this review, and I have one major gripe with the Realme Buds Air. That is the inspired. No, let's not call it inspired, it is a copied design. For a brand like Realme that has up until now, managed to stay away from being inspired by, product designs from other manufacturers and made great original product designs. For example, their very own Realme Buds Wireless. I really love that yellow accents that they've got going. Plus, the Realme C2 with a diamond back. This is the first time where a product looks like a blatant copy, and that is something that I'm not okay with. These are earbuds. You're going to be wearing them day in and day out. A clone, a copy. That is something that personally I'm never going to be okay with. But yes, if you can look past the design and if you've made up your mind, the Realme Buds Air offers a lot for its asking price of just rupees 4,000. I mean, that's just a very low price for what all that you get. You get stable connectivity, you get a low latency mode, you get a fun sound signature that you will appreciate. You've got great call quality as well. You've got wireless charging, and battery life is pretty decent too, at least on the case. So there is nothing more that you can ask for. Although if you can spend a little bit more, I have one great alternative for you, and I keep recommending these pair of earphones to everybody, and we have a review of that on our channel as well, which is the One More stylish truly wireless earphones, which are around the 5,500 rupee price. Now those have excellent sound. That is something that you cannot deny at all, and plus they've got haptic support as well, which is the reason why they have excellent sound. But unequivocally, if you want a pair of earphones with great call quality, the Realme Buds Air are the option for you. And I know a lot of people don't like the in-ear style, so that might not work for you. I mean, the One More Truly Wireless, this could be better. In fact, my parents would also prefer this style and format because it's comfortable. Then there's the new JBL Truly Wireless earphones that are going for around the same price as the Realme Buds Air. Honestly, I haven't had a chance to test them out yet, so I will reserve my judgments for later, but I'm hearing that they're pretty good, so maybe that's another option for you guys. In the end though, all I can say is that the Realme Buds Air are the best AirPods clone in the market right now. Make what you want of that statement. Having said that, looks like Tim might have to cook a new AirPods design recipe. So I hope I have answered all your questions in this review. If I haven't, don't forget to hit the comment section and I will try to get your questions answered. That's it from me. I'm Ershad from Mr. Phone. Hope you guys liked this one. See you in the next one. Goodbye and Godspeed, my friends.